Hello, and in this video we're going to talk about how you can take a PowerPoint presentation that looks something like this and turn it into a reference guide as an alternative learning source that looks something like this. Reference guides are very handy because after a presentation, some people may just want the information at a very quick glance. So all we're really doing when we're creating this from this PowerPoint presentation is we're reorganizing the work we've already done, leveraging all of the images and all of the written text that we've already put there into certain and different places into a document that's printer friendly, letter size. So this is how we're going to do that. Because you'd be adapting this from your PowerPoint presentation, what you want to do is simply go to File, New, and start a blank presentation. Now, under the Design tab, there's this option for slide size. We're going to change that in custom, and we're going to make that look more like a regular piece of paper. So in order to do that, we need to change these dimensions to 8.5 by 11. And once that's done, we click OK. And it's going to ask us for maximize or ensure fit. That doesn't really matter because there's nothing on the slide yet anyway. So now we're going to get rid of these so we have a blank, essentially, piece of paper. And what we're going to do next is we're going to copy this slide so we have a front and a back. For the first page, we really just want it to be attention grabbing and people will be able to know what it is from a first glance. So it's really taking the information that's on the first page. So all we're really going to be doing here is doing a whole bunch of copying and pasting and moving our image around so that we get something that we're happy with in terms of placement and also how it kind of already looks on the slide. So all I'm really doing is a whole bunch of keyboard edits, shortcuts, and things that you're probably already familiar with in from your use in PowerPoint, but I can make a more detailed video for you guys if you'd like to see it. For example, I'm holding down the shift bar right now, so that goes down in a straight line. But without much work, all I'm really doing is moving things around so that it looks similar on this first page. In terms of the amount of work and effort for the first page, it's really not that much because you really are just following, you're just copying the exact same information, and it's really a matter of just trying to make it fit. So that pretty much covers it. If I look here, that's pretty good. How did I do compared to my original? Okay, so in that one I've changed it up a little bit, but not bad. So now for page 2, this is where it gets a little bit more challenging because we're essentially trying to fit the next 7 slides worth of information into one page. But really, PowerPoint slides are designed to be very readable and not be too overwhelming for information on any one slide, compared to a reference document, which it's supposed to include a lot of information because it's a quick glance. So in order for it to have all the information, it kind of needs to be concise. I was going to say cluttered, but that's not really true. But anyway, what we have here, if we take a close look, is some text that when we look at how it's laid out, that 3 points is actually the PowerPoint's first 3 key points right there. So all I'm going to be doing next in this exercise would be taking each one of these key points and copying the text of each one into my second page so it looks like this along the second page. So that's all I'm doing. So that covers this section. So I'm just going to go ahead and speed it up by bringing that over so you know that's how I figured out where that information came from. If we look next, it looks like our additional features is a whole lot of bullet points of information. And if we go to our PowerPoint presentation, after our first 3 key points, we have specs and sizing, construction and materials, and more construction and materials. It looks like all of the information that's coming from here in these 3 slides is making up the information that's right here. So that's where that next information comes from. So in order to save a little time, I'm going to take this information here and copy it into our next section so we know that it's there. And if we keep moving through the example, it looks to be that this information next, the recommended accessories, has shown up as some things down at the bottom called great pairings to recommend. So this was clearly, by now you're noticing that there's not a lot of space left to put all of those images as large as they were in the original PowerPoint presentation, but it does look pretty neat how they're in these circles down here at the bottom. So I'm going to show you guys how I actually do that. So without further ado, let's try to replicate that really quickly. So first I want to take this, copy it from the first page and kind of bring it down here to the bottom. And then I want to insert a shape. It's a circle. If I hold shift down, it'll make a perfect circle as I make it bigger or smaller. And then I have all the options here. So yes, I want it to be filled white, and then the outline, let's make it like that ribbon. So I'll just use my eyedropper and then change the weight a little bit to something like that. Looks a little big, so that looks pretty similar. If you notice these lines showing up, they're there to help me. So right now I can see that it's in the center of the ribbon. to make that something that you need on, you'd use these rulers and guides here. Anyway, I think by memory there were 4 of them. So what I do next is I hold Control and Shift, and then I can move it in a straight line and copy it at the same time across. As I move across, it tells me that these are all now perfectly aligned. Let's say you don't have that, or you actually want it to go from here to here and then be perfectly straight across. What you can do is highlight all 4 of them by holding down Control and clicking on each one. Then you go over to the Home button, go to Arrange, and then under Align you go to Distribute horizontally. So now each one of those is perfectly the same. And now it looks like next is just dropping in those images. So if I go back to the original PowerPoint, I can click on each one of these at the same time by holding down Control and then clicking it. Then I do Control C to copy all of them, bring them all in at the same time, and while they're all still selected, I know they're going to be really small. Oh, it looks like it brought the text bar with it for each one too. So let me get rid of that for really quick. And then it's really just about dropping these into place. So I think that looks okay. Not bad for just guessing, anyway. And then on something like this, I'm going to hold Control and use my mouse wheel to zoom in. If you want to remove a background of an image, you go to Format, go to Remove Background, and then you can either mark areas to keep or to remove. So in this case it did a pretty good job automatically, so I'm just going to do Keep Changes, and now I can kind of realign this and put it over and it looks better. So that's how I do that bottom row. Let's see how I'm doing. Okay, really just all that's left are some of the images, so I can choose any images I want from the original PowerPoint. These make total sense because I mean, they're very informative, so I just Control copy from the other one, and then in mine I would paste it down here. It looks like I need to resize and copy, so I'm going to do Control and make another version of it. Then on this one, right click to crop and take it down like that, and then on this one I'm going to take it up like this, and then these have to be smaller, so something like this looks about right. Then I'll probably max this one out to try to get as much space in there as I can. Looks something like that anyway. And then let me return to my other one. I think this one's a good image just because it shows that it comes with a fly. So I'm going to take that one, copy it, and then bring it over. Okay, so that's kind of how you make a informative, what I call reference guide to a longer PowerPoint presentation. And it's always nice if you still haven't deployed your PowerPoint presentation, that when you're finished with it, at the end of your PowerPoint presentation, you can now put a slide there that calls a call to action, which is to go ahead and download a copy of one of your reference guides. So anyway, that's a brief tutorial on how to create a reference guide from a original PowerPoint presentation. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you want to see me make a more in-depth version of how to go over those other kind of steps in the design process that I was doing to create this. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.